You're listening to the Telltale Channel. In this podcast, supposed prophet of God, Kerr, and others prophesied that Trump would win in 2020, and he didn't. Then they prophesied there'd be a red wave in 2022, and there wasn't. Now they're prophesying it's definitely going to happen in 2024. Are they ever going to give up this prophecy thing? Christian Nationalist Lance Wallnau is an extremely influential televangelist in Trump's arsenal. Would you be surprised to find out that he's connected with neo-Nazis? Let's trace the connection down and see just how many people are connected to both the neo-Nazi movement and the Trump campaign. Mark Robinson is running for governor in North Carolina. We've talked about him a few times because he said some deeply psychotic stuff, but this one is absolutely off the rails. The dude's username was uncovered, and he's all over the internet, including some adult websites. And he's saying some very questionable stuff. Oh my God, this is so funny. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. I'm sure by now most people probably heard about Mark Robinson, the guy on screen here, saying that he's a Nazi. He says, I'm a black Nazi, quote unquote. So I wanted to unravel this whole thing because it's wild. Dude is the lieutenant governor for North Carolina, and he's running for governor on the Republican ticket right now in North Carolina. If Republicans win, black Nazi, quote unquote, his words not mine, is going to be the governor there. So I want to talk about him. Oh my God, it's so funny though. You know what happened? Here's the chain of events. CNN discovers the username Mini Soldier, MINISOLDR. And they discover that Mark Robinson uses that as like a Twitter handle, Mini Soldier. So they start looking around elsewhere. They looked all over the internet, and it turns out Mini Soldier has quite a kind of paper trail, or quite a digital footprint, if you will. The guy is in Amazon reviews, and oh my, even his Amazon reviews are psychotic. He was on some website called Nude Africa. I'm not even joking. Now, I have a whole bunch of screenshots of like things that he said on these adult entertainment websites and these everywhere. I have all the screenshots, and every screenshot I'm going to show tonight, I have verified to be absolute fact. But I had to screenshot some of them rather than showing the originals, because some of them need to be censored and some of them have been deleted by now, but they are all 100% real. So let's just start with my little archive here. Actually, you know what? Before we talk about his image archive, let me just introduce you to who, quote unquote, Black Hitler is, as he calls himself. This is a clip about Candace Owens, and it came out in 2020.
Idiotic guy was on stage with Candace Owens a few days ago and asked her, what America are we going back to make America great again? The one where women couldn't vote, or black people were swinging from trees?
Holy dude, that is real. And that's a good point. Women gained the right to vote, I think, in 1919, and black people were swinging from trees, as he says, all the way up. Hell, not even that long ago. This still happens, but the lynching really ramped up around the Civil Rights Act in 1964. So it was bad in the 60s and the 50s and before that. In the 70s, I assume it started to kind of ramp down a little bit. So when do you want to go back to? When was America great exactly? That's a good question. All right, let's listen to his response.
I would say to him, if I was standing in front of him, I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote. Do you know why? Because in those days, we had people who fought for real social change, and they were called Republicans.
Okay, so we got social change accomplished, but I want to go back to the time when we didn't have social change accomplished. Just when people were fighting for it, I suppose. Alrighty. And he says here, they're Republicans. Yeah, that's why I just talk about left and right. There was a party switch in like the 70s, I think. But before like the 1960s and 70s, Republicans were the left-wing ticket. So what he's saying is Republicans, the left-wing party, were fighting for people's rights. Yes, that's absolutely correct. The left was doing that back in the 1900s.
Social change, and they were called Republicans, and they are the reason why women can vote today.
Yeah, the left, correct.
Those days that he talked about when black folks were swinging from trees, guess who it was out there fighting to bring that to an end, to bring
the left, of course. The left was fighting for people's rights.
To an end, to bring Jim Crow to an end. It was Republicans.
That's right.
So that's the America we want to bring back. We want to bring back the America.
He wants to bring back the left?
Where Republicans and principles and true ideas of freedom rule. That's the America we want to bring back. That's why I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican because of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the Constitution.
Do you think if somebody said to him, you realize that Republicans were on the left, don't you? If somebody said that to him, do you think he'd change his mind on all of this? This is not why he votes Republican. He votes Republican because he's, quote unquote, a black Nazi. Again, I'll show you that screenshot of him saying that in a minute.
Constitution and the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
19th Amendment is women's right to vote.
I'm a Republican because whenever you look at true, honest to God, social change for the better, at the top, leading the charge,
is the left.
Is a Republican.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. And now it's the Democrats. Again, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about any of that. He's just lying, propagandizing, trying to muddy the waters and confuse people intentionally is what he's doing, obviously. Oh boy, this guy said some wacky stuff out in public, okay? We haven't even talked about the underground things he said that he didn't want public. You know what? Let's talk about that for a second. Why don't we, right? All right, first of all, some of the revelations we got was that he set up this photo shoot. This is one of his things that he did. Apparently, he's got a bunch of, like, Nazi action figures that he sets up and takes pictures of that makes it look like they're real Nazis, really doing Nazi things. That's weird, right? But okay, I guess people are interested in World War II. I mean, I would have picked somebody on the Ally side, but you do you, I suppose. Here's where it gets even weirder, though. We found his Amazon reviews, and one of those reviews was for a miniature water tower. And he says, quote, "This kit is very difficult to assemble. I love Walther's kits, but I think they should grade them. Beginner, intermediate, expert. This one is an expert. Very tedious, but it's a great kit and looks awesome on my layout." My layout. Here's what we know. The guy has Nazi action figures, or dolls, or whatever, has a layout and a water tower in that layout. Now, I might be jumping to conclusions a little bit here, but does this guy have a full-blown concentration camp model in his basement? Is that what we're seeing right now? Is that what he's saying? I think that might be what's happening. Who the f*** does this? All right, now let's talk about, like, CNN blowing this story wide open. Then we're going to take a look at some of the pictures. Oh, man, they're good. I'm a black Nazi, quote unquote. North Carolina Republican nominee for governor made dozens of disturbing comments on Adult Entertainment Forum. Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina, made a series of inflammatory comments on an adult entertainment website's message board more than a decade ago. I'm probably going to have to, like, white out the word here that's used for adult entertainment, but you get what I'm saying. So he left these messages on an adult entertainment website's message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a quote-unquote black Nazi. Again, I have the screenshots. And expressed support for reinstating slavery. He didn't just express support for it, he said we should bring back slavery. Hell, I would own some. Despite a recent history of anti-trans rhetoric, oh, this one's good, Robinson said he enjoyed watching trans adult entertainment. A review of archived messages found, in which he also referred to himself as a perv. Oh my God, dude. His campaign has to be over now, right? It has to be. And you know what's even better about this? He is a Trump endorsee. Trump endorsed this guy for governor, and that means people are going to be less likely in North Carolina to vote for Trump or to even go out and vote because he's so thoroughly destroyed his campaign here, in my opinion. some small percent of people are going to see that he's a black Nazi, and they're not going to want anything to do with that. So they're not even going to bother voting. The vote count is always within just a few percentage points. All you need is a few percentage points to flip or to not go, and that's it for you. I think it's possible that this guy might actually flip North Carolina for Democrats in the general election. Remains to be seen. When it says he referred to himself as a perv, yeah, he says that he looked in women's showers when he was a teenager a lot. So take that for what you will. All right, so now let's talk about the ties that he has to Mini Soldier. How do we know this is him? First of all, this is Twitter handle, Mini Soldier. He has his face on there and his name and everything. Additionally, every single place that Mini Soldier shows up on the internet, the user has some kind of tie to like model trains, World War II, Nazi dolls, concentration camp layouts and stuff. Everyone, like the Amazon reviews, great example. Dude is obsessed with like World War II, like the Nazis, basically. So this is Mark Robinson's official bio on like his political website or whatever. Quote, he and his wife Yolanda, awesome name, by the way. Name, if you will. Love it. Yolanda just celebrated her 29th wedding anniversary, and they have 2 adult children and a 2-year-old grandson. Mark has been an outspoken advocate for conservative values since he was 19 years old. Here's where it gets interesting. Mark loves all things history, especially as it relates to World War II. He also has several hobbies, including model trains, remote control airplanes, drones, and cars. And guess what his Amazon reviews were all centered around? Those exact items. There are reviews for like mini drones in there. You know what's even funnier? If you want to tie this to Mini Soldier, he bought with his Amazon account like one of those, slimming spandex something or other, make you look slimmer. I don't know what it is. And listed his height and weight in the review because it was valuable. It was valuable to know that as a reviewer or whatever. And it matches him exactly. Isn't that interesting? Here's one of his quotes. Slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they'd bring it back. I would certainly buy a few. Here you go. Great body slimmer. Out of the package, looks doubtful it'll fit, but it fits perfectly, and it's super easy to put on and take off. Great product. I'm currently ordering more. 5'11", 315 to 320 pounds. Mini Soldier. That's Mark Robinson. I went down a ridiculous rabbit hole to get all this information. I searched this subject up for like hours. Here are his Amazon reviews. We've got the body slimmer. I mean, I can just pull up the reviews, but just kind of scanning through here. He's got a drone, multiple drones here. He's got that water tower. He's got some stuff for model trains. That's weird, right? Water tower, mini Nazi soldiers, trains, and a layout. Oh my God. Oh boy, now here's where we get into the Nude Africa thing. This is the adult entertainment website. I tried to censor it. God, I hope I got everything. Yeah, look, you don't have to read all this. I have multiple screenshots of this. If you want to see them uncensored, owenmorgan.com/clips. It's in the 2024-09-22 folder on my clips directory if you want to find the uncensored screenshots. He's just saying things like he loves this person's feet and things like that. Oh, man. Some of these things are just too inappropriate to show. So let me just kind of read it. I thought I censored this one. In other comments on Nude Africa, Robinson discussed his affinity for trans adult entertainment. Quote, I like watching trans on girl adult entertainment. That is effing hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in, Robinson wrote. And yeah, I'm a perv too. In an interview with CNN on Thursday, Robinson repeatedly denied that he made the comments on Nude Africa. He can't deny this, though. We've tied him into this through a billion different ways. But if you need more, there's this commenting system that is integrated into like a bunch of different websites across the internet, right? So you sign up for, I think it's called Dosimer or something. It was popular back in like 2010. It was kind of like the Google of the time where you could sign up and you sign in to comment on every website with the same email address. Well, it just so happens that that system had an email address leak, like years and years ago. And guess whose email address was in the leak as Mini Soldier? Mark Robinson's. Mark Robinson's email. That's pretty dead to rights. I don't know how it gets more dead to rights than that. Email address belonging to Mark Robinson found on Ashley Madison. So he's looking for somebody to cheat with, or he's trying to cheat on his wife. I don't know. I don't know anything about how the website works. I swear. Anyway, that's interesting, isn't it? Let's just read a little bit of the thing, and then we're going to talk about Mark Robinson in more detail. The comments, which Robinson denies making, predate his entry into politics and current stint as North Carolina's lieutenant governor. Oh, yeah. Something I talked about like forever ago, maybe years ago now, is that Mark Robinson on Facebook admitted to his wife getting an abortion, or his girlfriend or whoever at the time getting an abortion at his behest. Just pile on the hypocrisy. They were made under a username that CNN was able to identify as Robinson by matching a litany of biographical details and a shared email address between the two. Yeah, that's the leak, the Dowsimer leak, and the Amazon reviews that list his height and weight and all the things he's interested in. Many of Robinson's comments were gratuitously sexual and lewd in nature. They were made between 2008 and 2012 on Nude Africa, an adult website that includes a message board. The comments were made under the username Minisoldier, a moniker Robinson used frequently online. Robinson listed his full name on his profile for Nude Africa, as well as an email address he used on numerous websites across the internet for decades. Oops. CNN's reporting only a small portion of Robinson's comments on the website, given their graphic nature. Yeah, you can't report this. Again, if you want to see them all, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, I have a bunch of screenshots. owenmorgan.com/clips. It's in the 922 folder. Oh, by the way, check out my book. I'd appreciate that, guys. And my Patreon. owenmorgan.com for the book, since I'm mentioning the website. About Jehovah's Witnesses, their rise and their fall and where they are now. Anyway. And Patreon. owenmorgan.com/Patreon to get there. That would be awesome. Anyway, let's keep reading. Publicly, Robinson has fiercely argued that people should use bathrooms only that corresponded to their gender that they were assigned at birth. He's also said trans women should be arrested for using women's restrooms. Huh. Knock me over with a feather. This surprises me to hear that. You're a man on Friday night, and all of a sudden, Saturday, you feel like a woman and you want to go into the women's bathroom in the mall, you'll be arrested, or whatever we got to do to you, Robinson said at a campaign rally in February 2024. We're going to protect our women. This guy, hypocrisy doesn't even begin to describe what this guy is. Like, his entire life is hypocrisy at this point. Yet, privately under the username Minisoldier on Nude Africa, Robinson graphically described his own arousal as an adult from the memory of secretly peeping on women in public gym showers as a 14-year-old. Robinson recounted the story as a memory he said he still thinks about. I'm trying to censor this as much as I can. Quote, I came to a spot that was a dead end, but had two big vent covers over it. It just so happened it overlooked the showers. Sat there for about an hour and watched as several girls came in. He wrote on the message board. CNN is not publishing the graphic details of his story. Holy bro, this is a crime. This is a straight up crime, and this guy needs to be charged for this. I hope that the people who were like at the gym, the students or whatever, know about this and try to press charges. Although statute of limitations, I don't know if it would work, but still. In an interview with CNN on Thursday, Robinson repeatedly denied that he made the comments on the website. This is not us. These are not our words, and this is not anything that is characteristic of me, Robinson said. Really? No? I mean, I've heard him say a billion things that are similar to this. Presented with a litany of evidence connecting him with the Minisoldier username on Nude Africa, Robinson said, I'm not going to get into the minutia of how somebody manufactured this. Oh, please. These salacious tabloid lies. Come on. There is no manufacturing to be had here. You can go to these websites and search the name Minisoldier and look at the email address tied to it on these forums and look at the fact that they were posted 2012. So like 12 years ago or even 16 years ago. You can see it. You don't need to trust CNN or any other news source. Go and look. He doesn't understand how the internet works, apparently. Sounds like he's pretending to have an experience like in the Porky's movie. I would love to think that this is fictitious, but based on everything that I saw him say on that website, I'm leaning toward it was real. CNN first reached out to Robinson Tuesday morning with evidence connecting him to the comments on the website. It took his campaign 2 days to respond and issue a denial. Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet it did. They're trying to figure out what to do next. During his interview with CNN, Robinson repeatedly said the issues that face North Carolinians, I said that right, didn't I? Were more important than what he called tabloid trash, and he steered the conversation toward attacking his opponent in the race, Democrat Josh Stein, the state's attorney general. Oh my God, please win, Josh Stein. We are not getting out of this race. There are people who are counting on us to win this race, Robinson said. Absolutely disgusting stuff. Bottom of the barrel, lowest stuff. Before 2016, this would have sunk a political campaign in an instant. That tape about Trump, grab him by the wherever, that would have sunk a political campaign in 2016 too. And Trump knew that, and that's why he came out and apologized for it at the time. But Trump kind of cultivated an audience that loves him for being a scumbag. Like, that's his brand, scumbag. There's nothing he could do or say to be canceled by anybody now, aside from going to the left, coming out as gay or trans or something. That's the only way Trump can be canceled by anybody. I just hope that it's a uniquely Trump thing and it doesn't apply to other Republicans. If this does not take down a Republican campaign, I don't know what will. It's kind of looking through here. Yeah, there's some really graphic stuff, so I'm not going to say the most graphic things. And if I do, then I'll cut it out later. But it says here, in another thread, commenters considered whether to believe the story of a woman who said she was taken advantage of by her taxi driver while intoxicated. In response, Robinson wrote, and the moral of the story is, don't sleep with a white person. It's so hard to censor this when the subject is so graphic. Robinson, who would become North Carolina's first black governor if elected, also repeatedly maligned civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., attacking him in such intense terms that a user accused him of being a white supremacist. On an adult, entertainment website, somebody accused him of that. Okay? Get that effing commie off the National Mall, Robinson wrote about the dedication of the memorial to King, Martin Luther King Jr. in Washington, D.C. by then President Barack Obama. I'm not in the KKK. They don't let blacks join. If I was in the KKK, I would have called him Martin Lucifer. Oh my God, dude, the slurs. This is crazy. I can't say some of this, but you can draw conclusions from the context, right? Calling him slurs. Oh my God. CNN's reporting on Robinson's comments comes a few weeks after the Assembly, North Carolina digital publication reported that Robinson frequented local video adult entertainment shops in the 90s and 2000s. The story cited 6 people who interacted and saw him frequent the stores in Greensboro, North Carolina. A spokesperson for Robinson called the story false and a complete fiction. No, this is dead to rights. He can say it's fiction all he wants, but this is dead to rights. I didn't trust CNN. I don't care about what they say here. I verified every bit of this myself. All of it. It's real. There are a bunch of different stories and stuff on this, too. Lewd posts by Trump-backed candidate for North Carolina governor removed from the Adult Entertainment Forum. Adult Entertainment website user linked to Mark Robinson also praised Hitler's Mein Kampf. Well, he did say he was a black Nazi, so, here you go. Mein Kampf is a good read, the user dubbed Mini Soldier wrote in a thread seeking book recommendations. Very informative and not at all what I thought it would be. It's a real eye-opener. The book, an autobiography by Hitler, cast Jews as an eternal parasite. Oh my God, dude. I mean, we all knew that, he had leanings like this, but I'm so relieved that it's just out in the open and we know now, without a doubt, right? Let's talk a little bit more about Mark Robinson, about some of the things he said. Every time I talk about Mark Robinson, I play this clip, so I don't like to play it too much, but it's appropriate for this occasion. I feel like it's kind of necessary for context. Oh, wow. I have these from March 2024. I didn't even realize I had these. They're screenshots labeled Mark Robinson Holocaust Denial, screenshots 1, 2, and 3. They were written by him in 2018, but I saved the screenshots in 2024, March 8th. Quote, "It's at once funny and sad how African Americans need Hollywood to validate them. I've been biting my tongue about this silly Black Panther comic book movie, but I can't any longer. It is absolutely amazing to me that people who know so little about their true history and refuse to acknowledge the pure sorry state of their current condition can get so excited about a fictional hero, quote unquote, created by an agnostic Jew. Oh boy, we're going down a weird road now. And put to film by satanic Marxists." You know, Nazis banned Jehovah's Witnesses because they were quote unquote Marxists. Marxists were the primary enemy, political enemy of like the Nazi political party. Well, the communists were. And of course, the Jews were like the immigrants in the region, or they were viewed that way anyway. And they were poisoning the blood, quote unquote. That's from Hitler and from Trump. Anyway, they were poisoning the blood of the country, basically. So that's kind of the dynamic. So he says it was created by an agnostic Jew and put to film by satanic Marxists. How can this trash that was only created to pull the shekels out of, oh my God, dude, out of your pockets? I don't know what that means. I hope I'm not saying a slur right now. How can they invoke any pride? This guy knows World War II, obviously, right? Because he has all those weird little dolls and photo shoots and a concentration camp like layout, quote unquote. He knows the words he's using and what they mean. He's not just throwing things out that he heard from Candace Owens or something. You want something to be proud of? How about pulling your heads out of the sand and start speaking up and telling the hard truths about the excesses that are destroying many Black communities? How about you stop doing the heavy lifting for Democratic politicians during elections, only to have them pay you in crumbs and ignore you till they need you again, quote unquote? And how about some of you men go home and take your rightful place in that 70% of homes where you are sorely needed? You're saying Black fathers have abandoned their kids, and that's really the problem. This is all racist messaging to the absolute core. This is crazy. I know a lot of people here will not like this message, but guess what? I don't care. I'm not here to please you. I don't need your validation. I certainly don't need Hollywood's. 2018, February 19th, 2018, from his personal Facebook page. I mean, this isn't salacious tabloid lies or whatever he said. This is him out of his mouth. Here's another one. There's a reason the liberal media fills the airwaves with programs about the Nazi and the 6 million Jews, quote unquote, they murdered. He put that in quotes. He doesn't believe it, I guess. There's also a reason those same liberals do not fill the airwaves with programs about the communists and the 100 million plus people they murdered throughout the 20th century. This is straight out of Hitler's mouth right here. Like, this is, he talked about communists nonstop. Bolsheviks, what he called them, because the Bolshevik Party, it was the name of the political party that eventually became communist, the Communist Party. He talked about cultural Bolshevism all the time and stuff. Oh my God. In all fairness, actually, though, Stalin was a monster and more people died under Stalin than died in Germany, I think. I mean, it was absolutely horrifically bad. It wasn't the ideology of like communism or Marxism that did that, though. It was authoritarianism, which, you know, the Nazis had too. They were also authoritarians. The center and leftist leaning Weimar Republic put heavy gun ownership restrictions. Okay, hang on. The Weimar Republic is the democratic government that existed between 1919, after World War I was lost by Germany, to 1933, when it became a dictatorship under Hitler. It was very much like the United States. They had a Congress, they had elected officials, about 500 of them, roughly the same number as, you know, congressmen here. They even had an upper chamber, kind of like our Senate a little bit. So what are some of the other comparisons? They had unemployment insurance. They had Social Security, basically, called them pensions. They had a whole bunch of things like that, a constitution and an elected president, the whole nine. That was the Weimar Republic, and it was a fantastic government, actually. Really, really good goals to reach for it. It was just destroyed by authoritarian extremism on the right, is the problem. One more thing I want to mention about it. The people that built the Weimar Republic were primarily from the Social Democrats Party, and they were kind of left-leaning, in favor of unemployment insurance, higher taxes for the rich, and, things like that generally. When Nazis took over eventually, a militant group formed from communists who were being killed in the streets by Nazis. A militant group formed to protect other communists, walk them home at night and stuff. The communists called that group Antifa, and the Social Democrats formed one too. I think it was called what was it? I was writing about this in my book recently. By the way, owenmorgan.com, check out my books. It's about Jehovah's Witnesses. I have one coming about World War II pretty soon, and Hitler's effect on the religious demographic there at the time. Okay, here's what I wrote in my book so far on the subject. The Social Democrats had a protection group too. It was called the Iron Front. The Iron Front. And their symbol was 3 arrows. They fought communism and they fought Nazism also. Here, this is a picture of this is how they used the 3 arrows. They would basically no monarchy, no Nazis, no communism. They wanted democracy. That's what the 3 arrows mean. Anyway, super interesting subject. The Iron Front. So the point is that the Weimar Republic was actually a really interesting and good government in a lot of ways. And Nazis and dictatorship came along and destroyed it. So he says, leftists leaning Weimar Republic put heavy gun ownership restrictions on German citizens long before the Nazis took power. Okay. Studies have been done on this, and it was determined that it wouldn't even matter if there were gun restrictions or not. You could not have fought the Nazis like that. And people had guns. I mean, it's not like they were nowhere to be found. It just wouldn't have changed anything either way. This foolishness about Hitler disarming millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash. Repeating that hogwash makes the conservative argument against the current attempts by liberal Marxists to push unconstitutional gun control measures in this nation look foolish. Jesus Christ, this guy. Oh my God, dude. What do you even do with this? This is nuts. Let's watch just like a couple more clips from him real fast here. This is the first one that I ever saw from him right here. He's also a pastor, by the way. He's a pastor, and this is him giving a sermon at his church. This one is early October 2021.
It is flat out child abuse. Take your children and tell them they have to attend school. Don't have a choice.
It's child for kids to go to school?
And then some of them will tell them they don't want you to have a choice where they go to school. You have to send your children here to school.
This argument is basically an argument against integrating blacks and whites into like the same schools. This is the argument that they gave. You can't tell us which school we can send our kids to.
Then when they get there, what do they teach them? Teach them a bunch of stuff about how to hate America.
I never learned that.
Teach them a bunch of stuff about why they're racist. Teach them a bunch of stuff about transgenderism and homosexuality.
This guy talking about trans people. Okay. No, schools don't teach any of that stuff. I don't even know what you're talking about, bro.
I'm saying this now, and I've been saying it, and I don't care who likes it. Those issues have no place in a school. There's no reason anybody anywhere in America.
All right, look, let me just say this, okay? I don't need to defend a fictitious situation. This is not happening in schools. Here's the thing. If teachers were convincing students or even lightly pushing them to be trans and giving them like trans surgeries while in school during the school day without parents even knowing about it or whatever, that's like the ridiculous over the top story that Republicans tell right now. I would have a problem with that. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. These people have to make these ridiculous arguments to support their outrage, because if they didn't make these ridiculous arguments, there would be no outrage. They realize that normal, reasonable, honest people 75% of the United States wouldn't like agree with them on anything at all if they didn't get hyperbolic and insane. Like the movie God's Not Dead, where that atheist teacher forced a Christian student to sign a contract that says God is dead or something, whatever it is. No one wants that. I don't want that. And I'm an atheist. Nobody would stand for that. That's not happening anywhere, ever. But they have to make these things up. They have to pretend that they're being persecuted, or nobody would agree. That's the point here. So all this stuff about hating America, transgenderism and homosexuality or whatever in schools, it's just made up.
There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth. And if you don't like it that I called it filth, come see me and I'll explain it to you.
You know, now knowing this guy's background, I wonder if his hatred of like the LGBT community is rooted in his love of World War II, because, you know, the LGBT community, they were some of the first targets of like Nazi ire. It started with the T4 program, where people who were disabled or, you know, feeble-minded, as they called it, just not very smart or whatever, had some other disability, they were being killed en masse. Older people, and then it moved to gay people and trans. Magnus Hirschfeld had an institute for sexual science there in Berlin, and when everything started going down, that's the first place they went. They showed up in a van. I've talked about it before. I read it from a book not too long ago. Showed up in a van, had a bunch of students there basically playing patriotic music on instruments, while others got out of the vans and went inside, poured red ink all over the books and the images that they had gathered up about the LGBT community, and lit things on fire, threw them into the courtyard out front and lit it on fire. Threw picture frames around, busted them, just destroyed everything. And Magnus Hirschfeld was in France at the time when this happened, and they said, "Where is he?" When they found out he was in France, they said, "Good, maybe he'll snuff it without us having to lift a finger," basically. I mean, these are some of the first targets. And it makes me wonder, as such a history buff, as somebody who loves World War II so much, the Nazi part, is that why he has such a problem with it? Listen to this one. This one is from mid-October 2021.
August 18th, 1968. I was born in L. Richardson Hospital for one reason.
August 1968, okay? What does that make him? I'm sorry, I'm not doing math too well. This was from 2021. He's 53 at this time. It's been 3 years, so he's 56 now, I guess. When he posted all that stuff on that forum, he was like 40, early 40s.
I was born in L. Richardson Hospital to be one of God's freedom fighters.
God's freedom fighters. And by God, do you really mean Hitler?
Bottom line, nothing else. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I wasn't born to waver, wasn't born to quiver. Yes, I was not born to make nice. That's why my mother named me Mark, after the God of war.
And she knew you were going to be like this before, when you were born? It's like that joke. The kid says to his dad, "Hey, Dad, I have a friend named Michael. His parents named him Michael Jordan because he could jump so high." The dad says, "What'd they call him before he could jump, baby?" Something like that. So I guess Mark's mom knew he was going to be an extremist nutcase before he was even born. Okay, go on. Wait, it's Mars, not Mark. Oh, is that real? Oh my God. I had no idea what he was even talking about. You're right. It is. It's Mars. I wasn't even thinking about it. That's so funny.
After the God of war. Because I'm here to literally make war on the devil. I said the other night, I want to make the gates of hell tremble. I just don't want to make the gates of hell tremble. I want to make the literal foundations of hell tremble.
Amen. The liberal foundations of hell tremble. Okay.
And I want this nation to join with me and do it.
Holy Christ, bro. Get a grip on reality. Seriously. That's insane. We've already done, we put a lot of time into this one, but it's such an interesting subject. I want to go, holy Christ, dude. I have like so much time on this one already. That's okay. A little bit more. Watch this one. This clip from Mark Robinson at one of his other sermons talking about gay people.
Gay couple, straight couple, dark room. 9 months later, gay couple, 2 people. 9 months later, heterosexual, 3 people. These people are superior.
They're superior? Are you telling me that people who choose not to have kids or otherwise can't have kids are inferior? Like what?
Heterosexual, 3 people. These people are superior. Because they can do something these people can't do. Because that's the way God created it to be.
Oh my God, dude.
And I'm tired of this society trying to tell me it's not so. Society has completely purged God from the building and from the equation. And because of it, we're headed down into a rabbit hole that's going to lead us to something we can't even imagine.
And what is this thing that he fears? You know the thing that I fear? Somebody doing some psychotic thing like bringing back Nazi ideology and forming the United States into a dictatorship. Like, no, I don't think this is going to happen. I'm just saying, like, this is a hyperbolic, end of the road, extreme, crazy, scary example of something that I'm afraid of. Mark Robinson is on the exact opposite end of the spectrum as a black Nazi. He seems to want that, whatever it takes to get rid of the LGBT community from the United States. Oh my God.
God destroyed a society because of its immorality. And let's get this straight.
Okay, he's talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. They were destroyed because of the way that they treated the poor.
And let's get this straight. In this country, we don't have a homosexual issue. That's just a tool of the devil to continue to divide us and lead us into immorality.
Jesus Christ, dude. This guy is so violently angry. And it's so scary to me how close to power he is. As a matter of fact, in, I don't know, a couple years ago, he was lieutenant governor. He is currently lieutenant governor. The governor of North Carolina went to Japan to meet with the prime minister or whatever, doing some foreign dignitary thing. And technically, that means, according to like the state constitution, Mark Robinson was the governor for that period of time. And he exercised his authority to do some absolutely insane Christian nationalist stuff. I don't remember what it was now. I talked about it in another video. You can just search it up and find it. But, you know, that law about, or whatever you call it, regulation about a lieutenant governor taking the role of governor while they're gone was written assuming that the governor was incapable of fulfilling their duties because they're not in the area. But we can do that now because we have cell phones, of course, and internet and computers and things. So there's no reason for that to exist, actually. But Mark Robinson saw an opportunity to seize power, and he seized it. This guy is insane.
Notice is turning on the television and seeing a story in the local news about a man wearing a rainbow dress and horns in his head, his face all painted up.
So a news story, if you can't understand, about a man wearing women's clothes with his face all done up, I think is what he said, basically.
Dressed up like a woman sitting reading to children.
Wearing a dress like a woman sitting and reading? I mean, isn't this the exact thing that he's into? Why is he complaining about this?
You know, back in the day, we had them kind of folks back in the day. Back when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me about it. She used to tell me, y'all go down to the playground now. Y'all see anybody out there hanging around in a raincoat? Come on.
I think he's saying, if I can understand it correctly, back in the day when we went to the playground.
And you don't see no pants hanging out in the raincoat. Y'all get y'all stuff and come on home, folks.
Yeah, if you see someone with a raincoat and you don't see pants under the raincoat, then you're gonna get hurt, basically.
That's what we call a pervert. If you don't do that.
That's what we call a pervert? That's what we do? Okay, interesting. You know what I personally call a pervert? Somebody that sneaks into a vent and watches people in the gym. That's kind of perverse, right? You know what else I would call perverse? Somebody who attacks a community and then looks at images of that community, adult entertainment of that community. That is perverse. Not like sexually, just in the truest sense, just perverse. That's just wrong. Do any of these people that claim schools performing radical surgery on children, do they know how surgeries work? You're not walking home after. No, they don't. They don't. They don't know how these things work. You're giving them too much credit here. It's obviously not happening. I just don't understand how, like, people on the right believe these things. You know what happened? It's almost like they said one really hyperbolic, crazy thing, but it wasn't that far off from the truth. Like, that's how it works. Propaganda is 90% truth, 10% lies, they say. So they would do 10% lies. And then somebody takes that propaganda and builds propaganda off of that. And now it's 10% lies of the 10% lies of the original thing, right? And they just keep doing that over and over and over again until you arrive at the point of absurdity where they think that kids are getting trans surgeries in school or using litter boxes. Like, really? I think that's how it happened. This is it. I don't remember what it is, but I remember thinking to myself, holy this is not okay. And we need to, like, talk about this when I saw this. This is from late November 2021.
We're facing a federal government that let's face it, it's tyrannical.
We're facing a tyrannical federal government.
Oh, yeah.
It is tyrannical. Guys.
And this is coming from somebody who, like, studies World War II. He knows what tyrannical is. And he's saying that the U.S. government is tyrannical?
Guys, this is the type of government the Second Amendment was made for.
This is the kind of government the Second Amendment was made for. To read between the lines, he's saying, get your guns and do something about the government right now. That is insane. That is insane. How is this not an incitement to violence? How is it legal that he is saying and doing these things? Seriously. I am all for free speech. I believe in free speech to the core. It's part of who I am, free speech. I couldn't do the job that I do without it. But when you start advocating for people's death, or when you try to get somebody to pick up a weapon and get violent, that's kind of where I draw the line, honestly. That and defamation, obviously. That's always been part of the law. That's a civil case. Something has to be done about this, man. This is crazy. You know what we need to do? Vote against him. Vote him out. And, like, out of government completely, because he's there right now. And vote Trump out, too. This clip has not released yet, but tomorrow, depending on when you see this, the day after this video releases, or 2 days later, I'll be releasing a clip about how Trump is tied to neo-Nazis. And I'm not even going to use Mark Robinson as an example here. He's a neo-Nazi, and he was endorsed by Trump. He's shaking his hand and everything. I'm not even going to go down that route. I have other avenues to prove that Trump is tied to neo-Nazis. This is crazy. I don't believe in violence under any circumstances, like, ever. Basically, like, for self-defense, and that's it. I am nearly a complete pacifist. I support what Ukraine is up to right now, fighting for their existence. And I would support somebody, like, fighting back against a bully in school or something, of course. But other than that, I'm a complete pacifist. I don't believe in violence. I don't think that violence should have any place in public discourse, in political arguments or whatever. Violence is not okay. That is a core part of who I am. But I want to give you guys a justification for violence, and you guys tell me what you think in the comments, okay? Again, I don't believe in it, but just bear with me. In the United States, we have some social contracts that we sign on to when we are born here, when we live here, whatever, right? Social contracts like we will not arrest people for their freedom of speech or for the things that they say. We won't put them in jail for that as a society. I want to be able to say what I want to say without fear of being punched, for example. By signing on to that contract and using it as a protection for myself, I am inherently agreeing not to do it to others. If I break that social contract and call for violence or use violence against another person, I'm no longer in that contract because I broke it. I'm not protected by it. Only people that don't advocate for violence or don't get violent are protected. Like I said, I'm nonviolent, and I don't actually think that, but it's an interesting argument to think about. I don't know. Tell me what you think about it. Next up, supposed prophet of God, Kerr, and others prophesied that Trump would win in 2020, and he didn't. Then they prophesied there'd be a red wave in 2022, and there wasn't. Now they're prophesying it's definitely going to happen in 2024. Are they ever going to give up this prophecy thing? We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
What year it was. So I saw a gentleman pass by me. And as he was passing by me, I'd asked him, I said, "Sir, what year is this?" And he looked at me crazy. He thought I looked like I think he thought I was drunk. And I said, "Sir, please tell me what year is this?" And he looked at me and he says, "Where have you been?" I said, "Please tell me, what year is this?" He goes, "Man, it's 2022. Don't you know? It's 2022. And I go, "Wow." And then he started to walk away. And I asked him again. I know I was prompted by the Holy Spirit to do this. I said, "Sir, who is the president? Who is the president?" And he said, "Don't you know?" I said, "I don't. Please tell me, who is the president?" And he told me, he said, "It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is our president."
You guys remember in 2016 and in 2020, all of those people claiming that God told them that Trump would win the election. You remember all that? This is Kerr. She claimed Trump would win in a landslide in 2020, and he didn't. So now she has to come out and explain what she meant by landslide.
And if you will remember, one of the things he had me say was that Trump would win by a landslide.
Okay.
In man's mind, in their human mind, they already put together what they think that means.
Right.
Okay.
Many times, as we know in the word, or even just from experience ourselves, especially as a prophet, that doesn't ever mean what man thinks it means.
Well, then why don't you just tell us what you mean? She meant landslide, obviously. And if Trump had won in a landslide, she would have counted it as a W. But he didn't, so now she has to rewrite history.
Those who have been perpetrating the lie have been paid to commit lies or
I think she's talking about election fraud, which did not happen.
Stealing or cheating will begin to get very nervous. They're actually already nervous. And
Ooh, I'm so scared.
let me tell you, conviction is going to come upon some of them in the lower levels. That's what he meant about the landslide. The smaller rocks move first, which pulls the bigger ones down. And that's what he meant when he said Trump will win by a landslide.
What are you talking about? There are big rocks that come down all the time. Are little rocks falling like a necessary component to big rocks falling in landslides? She just like making this up?
So there you go. That's the difference between revelation and what man in their head thinks that means.
Dude, she is such a ridiculous human being. I love listening to the crazy stuff she says. It is so entertaining. The reason I'm talking about it right now is because there are other prophets of God, quote unquote, right now prophesying about Donald Trump and how he's going to win in 2024. So let me just jump forward for a second and show you a couple of them. This is E.W. Jackson on screen here. He's been in the prophet realm for a long time. I just want to listen to what he says. By the way, right now, I believe he's at Andrew Womack's church. Andrew Womack works for Kenneth Copeland on his TV network, and he claims to be like a prophetic whatever. We'll come back to Kerr in a second.
I'm also here to declare in the name of Jesus that we are not going to allow a bunch of Marxists and socialists and communists and a bunch of perverts and a bunch.
Okay, I thought he believed that Marxists, communists, and socialists were all the same thing. I mean, they're not, but I thought he thought they were.
Of political power grabbers take our country and lead it in a direction that is not pleasing to Almighty God. America is going to remain one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I've been praying this prayer Lord God, speak confusion into their ranks. Make it so they turn on each other, so they can't get it straight, so they fumble over their every word, so they mess up their every strategy, so that things collapse in on them. Lord God, work your will in behalf of those who are seeking to represent you and cause those who are against you to fall flat on their faces. So I don't care how well Kamala Harris did in the debate. I've got news for her.
The fact that people are talking about that, I don't care how well she did, that means she did really, really well. That's funny.
I've got news for her. She doesn't have a strategy that can outsmart God. God is the one who is going to bring about the result that you and I are praying for. I believe that we've got victory that is coming on the first Tuesday in November by the will of Almighty God.
Jesus Christ. So you hear things like this, and it's almost like he's hedging a little bit, right? They learned to hedge after 2020, after they got it so terribly wrong. They learned to start saying, I believe that God's going to make this happen. But at the same time, they say things like, that pastor over there, like Lance Wallnau, received a message from God, a prophecy, that God said that he's going to make Trump win and all that. I'm not talking about Lance Wallnau in this one or that prophecy, but in 2 days, I have another video releasing, I believe, on this channel. Just keep a lookout for it, on Lance Wallnau and his prophecies about all this. Oh, yeah. Also, check out my book, owenmorgan.com. It's about Jehovah's Witnesses, their origin. And I'm talking about Germany and religion in Nazi Germany, how that all played out, how Hitler grabbed it. I'm writing that book right now, so give that a look. Also, my Patreon, owenmorgan.com for the book, or Amazon, and owenmorgan.com/Patreon for access to that. All links in the description, of course. You know, why not? I'll just show you guys a clip of Wallnau real quick and just show you what I mean when I say that they're hedging. Yeah, this is Lance Wallnau, or Wallnau, I guess. Lance Wallnau, prophet of God, one of the top leaders of the evangelical church. You may not know who he is, but he is one of the most influential people on planet Earth, at least in the United States. Extremely influential. And he prophesied Trump was going to win in 2020, got it wrong. So this time around, he did it a little differently. Here's his prophecy this time.
And I don't know how this ended up. You know, I'm Pentecostal, charismatic, but somehow I don't know if I was slain in the spirit. I think I was on my knees praying at a great gathering at a church, which was Harold Caballeros' church, a great statesman down there. And I had my eyes closed. And a man came up to me out of nowhere and whispered in my ear. He said, Brother Lance, I believe the Lord has a word for you.
So Brother Lance, it's inherently like a religious experience he's having.
God wants you to know Donald Trump will be elected for one more term. And after that, there shall be this great distress of nations. The Antichrist and those forces will not be able to emerge before their time. And there's one more term of mercy for America. Whispered it in my ear. By the time I turned around, I didn't even know who it was.
So this is his way of avoiding accountability when he's wrong. So they've gotten a little craftier with how they're doing it, but it's pretty obvious, right? E.W. Jackson did the same thing. He hedged a little, kind of protected his own reputation a little bit if it goes wrong, but he's saying that God is going to make this happen. Let's go back to Kat Kerr and her absolutely hilarious reaction to being wrong previously. This one is from October 20th, 2021. So this is like a full year after Trump lost.
He will have his 4 years. If someone, let's say they cheated in the Olympics and someone found out later and they had authority and were putting on high, they were putting higher positions or whatever, and then the real person was found out to be not guilty but innocent.
That's not how court systems work, but okay.
They would have to reestablish from that time period if contracts were given or things were promised. They wouldn't settle for like, well, I've got half of this contract left that now I can do.
Oh boy, I remember this. This was her trying to explain why she said that within a short amount of time, days, weeks after Trump, or after Biden was inaugurated, Trump is going to take control back. I think she said it in March 2021 because of a big sovereign citizen, constitutionalist, QAnon conspiracy theory. So she's trying to explain to everybody why she was wrong, why Trump didn't take control in March like she thought he would. The answer? Because he wouldn't get a full 4 years then. It's like, a few months into the campaign or into the administration. He's going to get the whole thing. God has decided so.
No, they will have to give Trump the full 4 years that he actually won in 2020. So he won't be president for a couple of years. That's not going to happen. It won't happen. But God literally took me into the near future. I can't say if that's a week, a month. I can't say when that.
The near future, you say? Okay.
I can't say when that is. I literally saw the celebration in the streets, and God said, I will show you. I'll show you the victory. I'll show you the celebration.
So the end part there is important for establishing the fact that she was prophesying that it was going to happen in 2020 and 2021. And then in 2022, she made even more claims that there's going to be a red wave in the midterm elections. She was wrong about that. Of course, she's wrong every single time. And people still lend her credibility. She's been on live streams with millions, well, not millions of live viewers, but she's been on videos with millions of views. Millions. She live streams and gets 4,000 people concurrent sometimes. It's a lot. Very influential. Check this clip out. This one is from late February 2021. So this is immediately after Biden won and was inaugurated, before the previous clip that we watched. And it's right before March when she believed in her sovereign citizen brain that Trump is going to take control.
They will be forced, talking about the news, will be forced to say these words. Trump has...
I'm sorry, did she say the Jews?
They will be forced, talking about the news.
She couldn't have said the Jews, right? What am I not understanding?
They will be forced, talking about the news, will be forced to say these words. Trump has legally won the election, and he is the president of the United States for 4 more years. I was taken forward in time. I saw that happen. It may take a couple weeks. It could take a couple months, but the whole time.
She's talking about now. I mean, in this video, she's talking about that moment, late February 2021, between February and June.
God is working out that plan until he can get everyone where he needs them. And also in the natural, where people who are working on this also, when they've got everything they need.
People working on this?
You capture those who have done wrong. You're going to know. This is what God said. It will not be hidden when it starts. Everyone will know this is happening. Even the news and the networks will be, this is what he said, they will be forced to broadcast the crime and corruption that has been exposed will shock and stun people to see who they colluded with overseas to overthrow this government. Everyone's going to know who did it and what they did. And in the end, the only thing left that they can do is give the presidency to Donald Trump because he won on November 3rd in 2020.
I'm sure I don't need to say this is obviously all false. And now I'm starting to realize she said the news, not the Jews. That's okay. That's a little bit better, I suppose. Jesus Christ, man. These people are never going to let go, are they? Never going to give it up. Hold on. There's one more clip I want to play. This is Manuel Johnson. He is a televangelist. He's up and coming. He's not super well known yet, but he's on TV and he's influential and connected to all the other televangelists. Kenneth Copeland and Andrew Womack and all of them, right? This clip is from late November 2021, a year after Trump lost. 1 year. Listen to this.
Into this, went through this portal, and I'm watching and I see a lot of movements. It was a beautiful day, a lot of movements. Nobody was wearing a mask. Glory to God.
Wow, he can tell the future, huh?
It was a thing of the past. The mask, the virus is going bye-bye. And I
But the virus didn't go bye-bye. It's still here. People still get COVID all the time.
didn't know what year it was. So I saw a gentleman pass by me. And as he was passing by me, I'd asked him, I said, sir, what year is this?
Oh, this is where it gets beautiful.
And he looked at me crazy. He thought I looked like I think he thought I was drunk.
Okay, he's ripping this from a Bible story.
And I said, sir, please tell me what year is this? And he looked at me and he says, where have you been? I said, please tell me, what year is this? He goes, man, it's 2022. Don't.
Oopsie daisy. Yeah, this one is going to live in infamy until the end of time, this clip. I love this. This is evidence that they're just like liars, right? They're just making things up.
2022. Don't you know it's 2022? And I go, wow. And then he started to walk away. And I asked him again. I know I was prompted by the Holy Spirit to do this. I said, sir, who is the president? Who is the president? And he said, don't you know? I said, I don't. Please tell me, who is the president? And he told me, he said, it's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is our president.
Well, I guess we can count this up as an L for this guy, right? I mean, it's very obvious that he was just like full of it. Now, I've said this 1,000 times. I'll say it again. The Bible has a very specific prescription for people who claim to prophesy in God's name, but aren't. I don't believe in the death penalty. Never have, never will. I'm just saying, in his belief system, there's a solution to this, to what he just did.
Donald Trump is our president. And saints, get ready. I don't care how it looks now. Donald Trump is our next president. He will get a second term.
Oops, yeah, uh-oh.
So the way it looks, it may look like that he's not winning. It may look like all this stuff, but God has plans for our president. He will be, and you will see him being inaugurated a second time, our president. And they're going to show that picture there on the screen. He will be inaugurated a second time. Donald Trump will.
See, the least believable part about this is that Melania is going to be there for inauguration number 2. I think it's going to be Laura Loomer instead. You guys know Laura Loomer, right? That woman that's like hanging off of Donald Trump right now, like they're entirely too close. She now claims that she has video of them, you know. Yeah, this person right here, if you don't remember.
And called me crazy, but what are they doing? I want to know what people are actually going to do.
Reaction to getting banned from Twitter.
My life is ruined. Does anybody understand how ruined my life is?
Yeah, that one. I think she'd be standing next to Trump here instead of Melania, in my personal opinion. Again, like I did a video about this. I think they might be. I got to come up with a really good euphemism to use. Let me find a good one. Hang on. Amorous Congress. They might be an amorous Congress. Might be having some horizontal refreshment at the moment. Playing hide the sausage, if you will. These are funny. I'm reading them off of Google. Shaking the sheets, you know, getting into some funny business. You know, rolling in the hay, if you will. Porking. Netflix and chilling, maybe? Yeah, I think Laura Loomer is doing that with Donald Trump right now. That's funny, dude. Anyway, the point is that these people are full of shit. Always been full of shit. Always will be. They're completely full of it. And when they are proven wrong beyond a shadow of a doubt, they just pretend that they weren't wrong. They pretend they were right the whole time. Are these people ever going to face accountability, is my question for you. Tell me what you think. Next up, Christian nationalist Lance Wallnau is an extremely influential televangelist in Trump's arsenal. Would you be surprised to find out that he's connected with neo-Nazis? Let's trace the connection down and see just how many people are connected to both the neo-Nazi movement and the Trump campaign. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
I'm only allowed to say one thing to this lady in the pink. take one of your hands, put on your stomach. There are actually 3 places in your body that this thing is grown in, and it is cancer. But God's going to take them all out by the root. Everybody, you need faith right now, young lady. I want you to look at me, because you need to be convinced that what I'm saying, I can't possibly know. And you are being healed. You have no idea how many times I've watched women like this go to their doctor and the x-rays show there's nothing there.
This is Lance Wallnau. He is a televangelist and extremely influential in the movement, Christian nationalist, that type. I want to make an argument for you today. I want to convince you that Donald Trump is connected to neo-Nazis, and the entire Christian nationalist movement is all neo-Nazis, just about all of them. Let me just introduce you to Wallnau. This is him claiming that Donald Trump is going to win the 2024 election because God told him he would. This is a prophecy from Lance Wallnau.
And I don't know how this ended up. I am Pentecostal, charismatic, but somehow I don't know if I was slain in the spirit. I think I was on my knees praying at a great gathering at a church, which was Harold Caballeros' church, a great statesman down there.
Okay, shout out for Harold, whatever.
And I had my eyes closed. And a man came up to me out of nowhere and whispered in my ear. He said, "Brother Lance, I believe the Lord has a word for you. God wants you to know Donald Trump will be elected for one more term.
You catching this?
And after that, there shall be this great distress of nations. The Antichrist and those forces will not be able to emerge before their time. And there's one more term of mercy for America." Whispered it in my ear. By the time I turned around, I didn't even know who it was.
So he can easily say, if it happens, he could say, this is a prophecy from me. God was speaking into my ear. And if he's wrong and Trump does lose, he can just say, well, I guess that guy was wrong. This is a method of sidestepping accountability. That is par for the course with these people. So let me draw the connection, all right? Oh, yeah. Also, check out my book, owenmorgan.com. It's about Jehovah's Witnesses, their origin. And I'm talking about Germany and religion in Nazi Germany, how that all played out, how Hitler grabbed it. I'm writing that book right now, so give that a look. Also, my Patreon, owenmorgan.com for the book, or Amazon. And owenmorgan.com/Patreon for access to that. All links in the description, of course. This is Todd Coconato. He's another colleague of Lance Wallnau's, and Mario Murillo on the right here. These 3 guys are televangelists that work together a lot. Wallnau has sat with Donald Trump in like briefing rooms and stuff and prayed with him on, I think, 4 separate occasions. That's how influential he is. Listen to what Todd and Wallnau have to say here, and Mario.
We have another clip I want to play real quick, and then you can comment on this as well, where President Trump is actually talking about some of what we just talked about. Let's go ahead and play that clip.
Why are we allowing these media?
Okay, now let's just pause here for a second. This clip has Nick Fuentes in the right-hand corner. The clip that these people chose has a neo-Nazi in the bottom right corner. Somebody at their studio pulled this clip from a neo-Nazi website. It's not even like a YouTube channel. He doesn't have YouTube. He's banned. He's banned from everything. It is a website that he and some other neo-Nazis operate on. What were they doing on that? I don't even need to listen to the rest of it. I just know that they watch Nick Fuentes. That's what matters now. I'm comfortable saying that the 3 people on screen right here are neo-Nazis, or at the very least, connected very closely to neo-Nazis. This is Lance Wallnau's show. Why is he watching, like, neo-Nazis in his spare time? You can get the debate from somebody else or from just the original source. Why that? So I'm going to call it. These 3 guys are neo-Nazis. I'm comfortable with that. Now let's talk about Nick Fuentes for a second. If you don't know him, let me introduce him.
9 in 10 blacks vote for Democrats. Why do they do that? God only knows. Why do they play the knockout game? Why do they punch white people in the street for no reason?
Is that happening?
Why do they rob 5 7-Elevens in 30 minutes? Why do they walk around with their pants around their ankles? I don't know.
Seeing what I'm saying?
I don't know. I'm not black, so it's not my experience. It's unexplainable, but this is what they do. Okay, this is how they are.
It's not. You know, there's a disparity between whites and blacks in the United States. One group of people, one demographic, has better economic outcomes and educational outcomes and things like that. Now, there can be two reasons for that. One of two reasons. Reason number one, it's a social problem. And if it's a social problem, then we can fix it. We can, do forced busing. We can give scholarships to all of the students. We can improve their neighborhoods and all kinds of other things. We'll work harder for integration and put out like anti-racism ads to decrease implicit bias and things like that. It's fixable, right? The other reason for this disparity, the possible reason, is genetics. They're just genetically inferior. Which do you think Nick Fuentes subscribes to? And by the way, by extension, Lance Wallnau, Todd Coconato, and Mario Murillo. I mean, they repeat his talking points anyway. They repeat Nazi talking points all the time. There's not like a big leap at all. Nick Fuentes is a race realist, which means he believes that race is an inherent, intrinsic quality about somebody that makes them superior or inferior, just based on genetics.
They are. It is what it is. That black vote is locked in, man. It is totally inelastic. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter what they believe or who they like. I mean, it just doesn't matter. So why would we create these opportunity zones and a platinum plan and just send the military in? Do what must be done. Send the military into these black neighborhoods, make the streets safe. They'll complain about it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're never going to vote for us.
Point is, he is a white nationalist to a degree that I can't even comprehend. It's insane. He's also a full-blown Nazi. Kanye West, famously, back in, I think, 2022, early December 2022, went on a media tour talking to everybody he could about hating Jews and loving Hitler. I'm not even joking right now. If you don't remember this, he went on Alex Jones to talk about it. And Alex Jones is trying to justify it. He's like, well, you don't love Hitler, right?
Like you like the uniforms, but that's about it. There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things.
And look who's on the set next to him, Nick Fuentes. Kanye West, when he went on this media tour, apparently watched Nick Fuentes and invited him to come along. And he's been flying in his private jet and everything. He's been helping him with his presidential campaign. By the way, what happened to President Kanye 2024? What happened to that? He had merch and everything, didn't he? Oh, this is important. I got to pull this one up. It's in my YouTube. Yeah, I knew I remembered seeing Kanye merch. Here you go. Right here. Yay 24. Look familiar? Here's another one from Nick Fuentes and Kanye West.
Well, I don't think that the Jews are particularly ethno-masochistic. If you look at all the blowback to Ye, they're very defensive. They're very paranoid, you could say.
So Kanye West comes out and says he loves what Hitler did. He loves Hitler. He thinks he's awesome, and we need to do more of that. And there's blowback against Kanye. I'm not calling him Ye. I think he's trying to escape accountability by changing his name and covering his face. There's blowback against him, and they think that's like the Jews. Instead of just people sitting on the other end just absolutely disgusted by what's happening.
Almost pathologically paranoid about threats to their well-being. I agree with you that liberalism is a poison. I'm not a liberal. And I think that
No fucking really? You're not?
And I think that liberalism has poisoned the well for white people. But if you look at white kids, there's nothing, I don't think, intrinsic in white people that makes them hate themselves. Like when I was a kid, kids loved Hitler. In the sense that we see the videos and we see the propaganda and the...
I'm sorry? Kids love Hitler? First time hearing of it. And I was a kid, I remember, for at least 15 years.
And the symbols, and there's something compelling about it just on an aesthetic level.
What?
No.
I've never heard that before. When you were a little kid, like 8 years old,
All your friends liked Hitler?
Well, maybe not 8 years old, but on 4chan and on the internet.
Okay. Yeah.
Very
Teenage.
popular.
Okay, wow. Yeah, dude on the right, Gavin McInnes, started the Proud Boys, also started Vice News, believe it or not. Full-blown white nationalist, trying to create a white ethno-state. And he's the voice of reason in this conversation with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West. That's who we're dealing with right now, okay? Now, I've drawn the connection for you between Fuentes and Lance Wallnau and Donald Trump and Mario Murillo, Todd Coconato, but I have more. There's more. Listen to this one from Fuentes.
I know all the people on the Trump team that are with us. I know all the people that are ideologically sympathetic. I know all the people that are on side. They feel exactly the same way as I do. They feel exactly the same way. Many of them are borderline considering quitting politics because of their experience with Trump. And they see that it is.
Oh yeah, he was fighting against Trump for a while there. He's saying that he was going to tell all of his people to vote against Donald Trump because he wasn't doing what he wanted him to do. Basically, he's not speaking out about the border in the right ways or whatever. And just like that, seemingly out of nowhere, suddenly Fuentes' close friend Laura Loomer is right up on top of Trump and supposedly has video of them doing, things that I talked about earlier. That's interesting, huh? Almost like Trump realizes that this election is going to be close within just a couple percentage points, and any small group could flip it. So he's trying to appease every small group that he can. That's what it seems like.
It's the same game that we played in the first term, which is battling the Jews in the White House, battling the neocons, battling the Israel firsters. I think the Groypers are going to withhold the votes. It's going to be a close election. If he can go to the Libertarian Convention, then he can give something to the Groypers. If he wants to go for the Libertarians to get 1% of the vote and they had a convention with 1,000 people, well, then he can earn our vote as well. And I don't like what I see.
Yeah, and he did go on to try to earn Fuentes' vote, as far as I can tell. So as soon as Laura Loomer started rolling around, suddenly Fuentes is Trump's biggest fan again. He's like, wow, I love this guy. He's doing the right thing. Interesting, right? Now, I drew a connection between Fuentes and Trump with Laura Loomer as the connector. And I drew a connection with Mario Murillo, Lance Wallnau, and Todd Coconato to Nick Fuentes, right? Check this one out. Mario Murillo on the left. This is Flashpoint, by the way. Hank Kunneman on the right. Prophet of God, prophesied Trump would win in 2020 and was wrong. Gene Bailey on the back left. And behind him, you can't see, but this is Lance Wallnau, I believe. They're holding a revival event, like a faith healing event. Yeah, that's the word, faith healing event.
I'm only allowed to say one thing to this lady in the pink. Take one of your hands, put on your stomach.
Yeah, there you go. You could kind of see Lance Wallnau leaning over there a little. Yeah, that's him. I think, actually. Now I'm not sure. They usually have Wallnau on. Anyway.
There are actually 3 places in your body that this thing is grown in.
This is just some random woman in the crowd, by the way.
And it is cancer. Now, I need you to take your hand off your stomach, put it right below your neck, right there. And the third one is small. It's just growing a little bit right now. But God's going to take them all out by the root. Everybody?
Now, I don't think that she had any connection to them. I believe that he's just pulling this right out of his, as far as I can tell. She doesn't have cancer, never did. I have no reason to believe, she's even been to a doctor for any of this. They certainly don't know each other. So now he can say, God's going to heal you. And when you go to a doctor to verify that healing, the doctor will tell you, it's like you never even had cancer. Wow, huh?
There's 3. You need faith right now, young lady. I want you to look at me because you need to be convinced that what I'm saying, I can't possibly know. So take that hand, was on your stomach, and it's now here. The third one is on the side, on this side. And it's, yes, exactly right.
Yeah, it is Lance Wallnau in the background. You can see him there.
And you are being healed. Now, everybody,
yes,
say, oh, Mara, this crazy talk.
Yeah, a little.
You have no idea how many times I've watched women like this go to their doctor and the x-rays show there's nothing there.
Knock me over with a feather. Really? That surprises me, I gotta say. You telling me that you claim someone had a disease that there's no evidence they ever had, and when they go to verify it, it turns out they never had it? Huh?
Now, come, Jesus.
I mean, this is what they do. They're both, all of them on stage. This is straight up scumbag behavior right here. Taking advantage of people, fleecing people, taking every penny that they have, scamming them. You know, if this was not a religious event, if this was just like a conference, what they're doing here would be illegal. If they were selling this cure in bottle form or whatever, like colloidal silver is a cure to your cancer or whatever, it'd be against the law what they're doing because they're defrauding people. They're lying to them, taking advantage of them, and getting every penny they can out of them. It would be against the law, rightfully so. But it's religion, so it's not against the law in this context. Just disgusting. In my personal opinion, fraud is fraud. I don't care what your religious belief is. If you tell somebody that they can be cured by blah, 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 whatever, and there is no evidence that that thing can cure you, and you're doing this on a mass scale like this, you're defrauding people, and you're taking money for it or whatever, that's fraud. The point here is that Nick Fuentes, Mario Murillo, Hank Kunneman, Gene Bailey, Lance Wallnau, Todd Coconato, oh yeah, and by the way, with all of these other people, that includes Kenneth Copeland, because Hank Kunneman is close friends with Kenneth Copeland and believes him to be like the most important pastor on earth right now or whatever. It includes Andrew Womack, because Womack is on the same network as all of these people. I mean, hell, who else does it include? It includes so many people, it's ridiculous. Oh yeah, I haven't even touched Mike Lindell yet. I don't know if you guys heard about this one. Mike Lindell, just the other day from when this video released, posted this on the official MyPillow, what is this, Truth? I think this is the Truth Social thing. Sleep like a dream with our standard MyPillow for just $14.88. Use promo code R277 to snag this deal and wake up feeling refreshed every morning. Don't miss out on the ultimate comfort upgrade. Get yours today. MyPillow.com/R277. Now, if you are not chronically online or like a politics junkie the way that I am, you may not be aware of this, but R277, his promo code, is a reference to a Utah bill about racism in schools. Here it is. The point of R277-328 is to actually address inequity and racism in schools, said Amara Bray, a member of the public who attended the meeting last week. We are continuing to see inequity in Utah schools. Even though students of color are a relatively small percentage of students, I ask you to please keep equity as a priority in schools. So this bill is about racial issues. Is this a ballot measure? Is that what it is? Is that the promo code because he wants people to vote on this ballot initiative or whatever? I mean, I'm not even sure. I could be wrong there, but it's a race-based promo code is the point. Race in schools. And 1488, to point out the obvious, is a Nazi dog whistle. This is how dog whistles work. If you're not like deep into this world, you may not even be aware that 1488 means anything at all, like 1350. That's also a racist dog whistle. He's saying something that Nazis will hear, but everybody else will ignore. If you don't know about this, you don't care. You don't have anything to do with it. 14 in this number is a reference to the 14 words by Hitler. It's a famous phrase that he said. His two slogans originated by David Eden Lane, one of the 9 founding members of the defunct white supremacist terrorist organization, The Order. Anyway, the 14 words. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children, followed by the second slogan, because the beauty of the white Aryan woman must not perish from the earth. The 14 words. And the 88 in this equation is a reference to HH because, you know, H is the 8th letter in the alphabet. Heil Hitler, HH, 88. Yeah. Mike Lindell is a neo-Nazi. At the very least, he's like shouting out to neo-Nazis and telling them that like he sees them and he wants their money and he wants them to like buy his pillows and stuff. What is happening right now? That is insane. Like, if I haven't drawn enough connections between Donald Trump and Christian nationalists and white supremacy and neo-Nazis, I don't know what else I can show. You know the other weird thing about this? I just want to point this out real quick. Here's another weird thing. Mike Lindell is pro-Israel. Obviously a neo-Nazi. Pro-Israel. How is that happening? How did that work? I can't believe I don't have a single clip on this subject. Anyway, Mike Lindell is super pro-Israel. Has been for like ever. How does that work? The answer is there are multiple kinds of people or people from multiple different backgrounds that support Israel for these reasons and others that support it for those reasons and people that are opposed to it for these and that. Anyway, there's a subset of the left that supports Palestine's right to exist and is horrified by what Israel is doing to them right now. Who has two thumbs and supports Palestine's right to exist and the Palestinians? This guy right here. And then there's a subset of the right that supports Palestine because they fucking hate Jews. I mean, it's weird how much they talk about how evil Israel is and stuff. Like, I think Israel is like a nationalist state that's completely out of control and doing horrific stuff, but not on a religious level. Like, I don't believe this as part of my religion. That's what it seems to be with some of the anti-Israel people on the right. It's really disturbing. And then there are people on the right, like Mike Lindell, for example, who support Israel for religious reasons because they need Israel to exist and be there in control of the Temple Mount area before Jesus can come back. Al-Aqsa Mosque is built on where Solomon's temple used to be. It's been there for like centuries, nay, millennia, I think. And part of the evangelical Christian ideology is Israel is supposed to tear down Al-Aqsa Mosque, which would cause World War III. I'm not even being hyperbolic. And slaughter a red heifer, basically a red young cow in front of the Temple Mount and then build the third temple, and then Jesus comes back. That's the reason why people like Lindell support Israel and continue to do this 1488 stuff. It is an absolutely bizarre thing to see. Full-blown Nazis supporting Israel like that. And I mean, like, Lindell has even debated Palestinians. He debated these Palestinians outside of the RNC or the DNC? I don't remember where. Somewhere.
The 2024 election this November will be safe and secure.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, look, this guy is holding a Frank speech. His, like, news network or whatever. A Frank speech microphone. This is Lindell's guy.
History. Yep. 40,000 dead Palestinians. No one cares what the My Pillow guy has to say.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you need a pillow? Do you need a pillow? Do you need a good night's sleep?
Dead Palestinians, how do you sleep with yourself at night?
No, you need a good night's sleep. You need a good night's sleep. What do you sleep on? You sleep on a My Pillow.
Are you serious right now? He walks up to Palestinian protesters and tries to sell them pillows? Is this real?
To get your shit together and realize what side of history you're fucking on.
Do you know who said what's on? I'm trying to secure our election.
Secure our election? Genocide?
You have quite a mouth on you. You need some sleep, I think.
You have quite a mouth on you, motherfucker.
I think you're about to go to sleep right now, bro. If you keep going, I'm just.
All right, that's fine. You guys,
I'm part of nothing.
Keep going.
He's a nice guy. You won't even give a chance. You're just yelling.
Anyway, yeah, Lindell debating Palestinian protesters. Wow, that's really interesting, actually. Maybe we should watch the rest of this.
Part of nothing.
Keep going.
He's a nice guy. You won't even give a chance. You're just yelling at him.
What are you even doing here?
You support Palestine? You support Palestine?
Yeah, what?
You support Palestine?
No.
Okay, get the f out of my face, bro. Move on.
Obviously, he doesn't. This is what I'm saying. Neo-Nazi, that loves Israel. That is just wild.
Move along. Move along.
I support Israel.
40,000 people
Chicago. Shit out of my face. Republican hero right now.
What do you do? What do you act
go? They want to go. I want to
You have nothing in society.
They can't hear me. It's just wrong. Move on. How about now? How about now?
Dude, I really wish it'd be like one person at a time. This is really annoying.
I stand for Israel and Jesus Christ. That's what I stand.
Jesus is from Palestine, you fucking
idiot. Palestinians.
That's a response to do you
You're
stand
Christ
with
for nothing.
Come on.
Jesus was alive. You got bombed. You're fucking stupid.
I will be.
So I think the kid is saying if Jesus were here today, he would be in, like, with the Palestinian, like, physically, like he was an Arab, basically. That's right, isn't it? I don't know. It's been a while since I looked into this. He's like a Middle Eastern person who was from the the Palestine region. He would obviously be around the Palestinians.
Praying for you. I will be praying for you. God bless you.
Hey, don't use my shit. In the name of Jesus.
I will pray for you guys. You guys, I seriously will pray for you. I will pray for you.
Wow, that's nice of him. That's his way of saying "F you," basically, right?
You guys,
40,000 dead Palestinians. You need to pray for yourself. You need help. There are 40,000 dead people.
So what do you want me to do? Shouldn't I pray for you? Shouldn't I pray for you?
You're speaking about Israel. What about all the dead Palestinians?
Shouldn't
What about all
I
the
pray for you?
victims? What about all the people under the
Shouldn't I pray
rubble?
for them and pray for you?
No, you're not. Unless you care for the Palestinians.
What would you like me to do other than pray for you? What would you like me to do other than pray
Distract
for you?
people and talk.
Oh my God, what would you like me to do other than pray for you? Well, he's gone on this massive media tour around the country, screaming like a banshee into a microphone, any microphone he can find, that the election is rigged. So, and it's not. So can't he grab one of those microphones and talk about how Israel is mistreating Palestinians? Mike Quackhole Lindell, yeah, exactly. He is suddenly pretending that he's politically neutered, like he has no way of doing absolutely anything at all. How many lawsuits has this guy filed? How many, I mean, in favor of election integrity, quote unquote. How many live streams has he done? How many videos he released? How many news articles has he written or had written in his name or paid to be written or whatever about this election denial stuff? And he's like, what do you want me to do about the Israel-Palestine thing? Really? Well, first, I would like you to admit that it's a problem. He doesn't even do that.
About immigrants who had nothing to society, and meanwhile you're talking about people that need to be taken United States. Like you had nothing to America. Those are people who are the backbone of this country.
From here? What does that mean? Are you from here? You mean the United States?
And meanwhile, am I from here? Are you from here? Where are you from? Who funds you? Who gives you your money? I want to know what super PAC is behind you. You seem like you get paid a lot to be here, so I want to know who's funding you. I come here on my own dime, but who pays you?
Oh my God, dude. So Mike Lindell's implying that these protesters are like being paid to be here. Are you serious with this? This guy is so full of man. So full of Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. I'm telling you, man, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, Christian nationalists embedded into this system from the ground up. Really. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. And take a look at my YouTube channels. Owen Morgan, where I talk about religious issues. Telltale Fireside Chat, where I talk about politics. Telltale Unfiltered, where I do long-form breakdowns of stuff like this. And take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.